The rain fell hard on the landing pad as Daiho watched the alien ship descend through the gray clouds. He had seen many strange things in his years as a soldier, and later as a security contractor, but the Velrathi vessel still made him pause. It looked like a massive crystal grown into the shape of a teardrop, shimmering with colors that had no names in human language. Daiho pulled his jacket tighter. The job posting had been simple enough. Guard an alien princess for 3 months during her diplomatic tour of human colonies. The pay was extraordinary, enough to retire early if he wanted. His friend Hajin had sent him the contract with a message that said only, "Weird but legit." The ship touched down without a sound. No thrusters, no engines roaring, just silence. A door appeared in the crystal surface where none had been before, and figures began to emerge. The Velrathi Royal Guard came first. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with skin that looked like polished gemstone. It shifted colors as they moved, blues and purples flowing across their bodies like oil on water. They wore no armor that Daiho could see, but the air around them seemed to shimmer with protective energy. Their eyes were solid black without pupils or whites, and they moved with an unsettling grace. Then she appeared. Princess Mion was smaller than her guards, perhaps 6 feet tall. Her crystalline skin glowed with soft pink and gold hues. Unlike the guards, whose faces were cold and blank, her features showed something almost like curiosity. She wore flowing robes that seemed to be made of liquid light, and her long, dark hair floated around her head as if underwater. Daiho stepped forward and bowed slightly, the way the briefing materials had instructed. "Your Highness, I am Daiho. I will be your assigned security during your stay in human territory." The princess tilted her head, studying him. When she spoke, her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "A human guardian? How curious. My mother insisted on this arrangement." One of the guards stepped forward, his skin flashing angry red. "Princess, this primitive is beneath your station. Our guard is sufficient." "Captain Torin," Mion said softly, and the guard fell silent immediately. She turned back to Daiho. "You will forgive my captain. He does not understand why we would need human protection." "I understand his concern, Your Highness," Daiho replied. He kept his voice level and professional. "I'm here to provide local expertise and additional security. Nothing more." The princess smiled, an expression that seemed almost human. "I think you are here for more than that, Daiho, but we shall see." The first week passed without incident. Daiho followed the princess through endless diplomatic meetings and cultural exchanges. He learned that the Velrathi were telepathic, able to read thoughts and emotions from most species. But for some reason, they struggled with humans. Daiho's thoughts remained his own, and he could see this frustrated the guards. Princess Mion seemed different from her people. She asked questions constantly. Why did humans build cities vertically? Why did they eat so many different foods? Why did they laugh? The other Velrathi treated these questions with barely concealed contempt. But the princess persisted. On the 8th day, everything changed. They were touring a human art museum when Daiho's instincts screamed danger. He had learned to trust that feeling during his military years. His hand moved to his weapon as he scanned the crowd. There, a man in a maintenance uniform, moving wrong. Too focused, too deliberate. Daiho moved fast. He grabbed Princess Mion and pulled her down just as the air where she had been standing exploded with purple energy. "The blast carved a hole through the museum wall. Get down!" Daiho shouted. He drew his weapon and returned fire while using his body to shield the princess. The Velrathi guards finally reacted, but they were slow, shocked that an attack had happened at all. The assassin was fast, inhumanly fast. He dodged the guards' energy blasts and launched another attack at the princess. Daiho threw himself into the line of fire. The energy grazed his shoulder, burning through his jacket and searing his skin. He gritted his teeth against the pain and fired 3 quick shots. The assassin went down. The museum erupted into chaos. The Velrathi guards surrounded the princess, their skin flashing red with fury and shame. Security forces swarmed the building, and Daiho knelt there, breathing hard, his shoulder on fire. Princess Mion pushed through her guards and knelt beside him. Her hands hovered over his wound, glowing softly. "You took the blast meant for me." "That's my job," Daiho said through gritted teeth. "No species we have encountered would do this," she said quietly. "Your people are strange, Daiho." The medics arrived and began treating his wound. As they worked, Daeho saw Captain Torin examining the dead assassin. The captain's skin had gone pale white, almost translucent. He looked terrified. That night, Daeho received a message from Hajin. His friend's face filled the small screen in his quarters. "Dae, what the hell happened? The news is everywhere. An assassination attempt on a Velrathi princess?" "Yeah," Daeho said, rotating his bandaged shoulder carefully. "Someone tried to kill her. I stopped them." "The contract," Hajin said slowly. "Dae, I've been digging into it. The Velrathi don't hire outside security, ever. This is weird." "Everything about this job is weird," Daeho agreed. "No, you don't understand. I found records. Humans who took contracts with the Velrathi. High-level security, advisors, specialists. They go to work for the Velrathi and then..." Hajin paused. "They never come back." Daeho felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean, never come back?" "I mean they disappear. No termination of contract. No return to human space, just gone. Dae, I think you need to finish this job and get out fast." Before Daeho could respond, his door chimed. He ended the call and opened it to find Princess Mion standing there alone. Her skin glowed pale blue in the dim light. "May I enter?" she asked. Daeho stepped aside. The princess walked in and turned to face him. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "The assassin was Velrathi. From the royal court? My brother sent him. Your brother wants you dead. My brother wants the throne. I am in his way." She met his eyes. "You saved my life today, Daeho, but I must warn you. My mother, Queen Soren, she has been watching you. She finds you interesting. Is that bad?" Princess Mion's skin flashed deep purple, the color of fear. "My mother collects interesting things, Daeho, and she never lets them go." She left as quietly as she had come, leaving Daeho alone with a growing sense that he had made a terrible mistake. He looked at his terminal, thinking about Hajin's words. Humans who never came back. Outside his window, the alien ship gleamed in the moonlight, beautiful and cold as a trap, made of crystal and light. Daeho sat down heavily on his bed, his shoulder throbbing. 3 months, the contract said. Just 3 months. He had a feeling it was going to be much, much longer than that. 2 months passed like water through fingers. Daeho had stopped counting the assassination attempts after the 5th one. Each time he kept Princess Mion alive. Each time the attacks came from within the Velrathi court itself. The princess spent more time with him now. She would appear at odd hours, always alone, always with questions. They sat in gardens and museums, in transport ships and hotel rooms, and she asked him about being human. "Why do you read?" she asked one evening, watching him turn pages in an old book. They were in a safe house after another attempt on her life, waiting for security clearances. "Your people have digital displays." "Why paper?" Daeho looked up from the worn novel. "It feels different. The weight of it. The smell. It makes the story more real somehow." Mion's skin shifted to soft yellow. The color he had learned meant fascination. "My people believe physical objects are primitive. Everything should exist in thought, in telepathic networks. But watching you with that book, I wonder if we lost something important." "Your people seem to think a lot of things are primitive," Daeho said carefully. The princess laughed, a sound like chimes in wind. "You are not wrong. We believe emotion makes one weak. Attachment is a flaw. Individual desire should serve the empire." Her skin flickered purple for just a moment. "Sometimes I think we are the primitive ones." Over the weeks, Daeho learned about Mion's world. The Velrathi Empire stretched across 40 systems. They had conquered or absorbed dozens of species through superior technology and their telepathic abilities. They saw themselves as the peak of evolution, destined to bring order to the chaotic galaxy. And yet, here was their princess sitting on a human couch, reading human poetry with wonder in her black eyes. "This one," she said, pointing to a poem by an ancient Earth writer. "It speaks of loving and losing. Your poets treat loss like it has value." "Loss teaches us," Daeho said. "It shows us what mattered, what was real." "The Velrathi do not believe in love," Mion said quietly. "We have duty. We have function. We have empire. But love?" Her skin shifted through colors quickly, unsettled. "I think I am broken, Daeho. I feel things my people say I should not feel." Daeho set down his book. "You're not broken. You're just honest." The assassination attempts continued. Each one brought Daeho and Mion closer to death and somehow closer to each other. He began to see her not as a client, but as a friend. She was kind in ways her people were not. She noticed when he was tired and insisted he rest. She learned about human food and had meals prepared that he would enjoy. She asked about his life before, about his family, about what made him laugh. After the 7th attempt, a bomb hidden in a diplomatic gift, Deho found her crying. He had never seen a Velrothi cry before. Her tears were like liquid diamonds rolling down her crystalline cheeks. "I cannot stop him," she whispered. "Taewon will keep trying until I am dead. My mother knows and does nothing." "Why?" Deho asked. "Why would your mother allow this?" Mion looked at him with those endless black eyes. "Because the strong survive. If I cannot defend myself, I do not deserve the throne. This is our way. That's insane. That is the Velrothi Empire." She wiped her tears away. "But you, Deho, you keep saving me. Not because you must. You could simply do the minimum and collect your pay. But you throw yourself into danger for me. Why?" Deho thought about it. "Because you're my friend. Humans protect their friends." Her skin flashed gold, bright and startled. "Friends. We do not have this concept. We have allies and tools and subjects. But friends," she smiled. "I like this word very much." The 3-month contract came and went. Deho tried to resign to return home, but a message came from Queen Soran herself. The tour was extended. 6 more months. The pay doubled. And somehow, without Deho understanding how, his contract had been transferred from the diplomatic corps to the royal household directly. Hajin called that night, his face tight with worry. "D, this is wrong. I've been asking around. A human contractor named Bora took a job with the Velrothi 8 years ago. She never came home. Her family still waits." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying get out now before it's too late." But it was already too late. The next morning, Deho was informed his travel permissions had been revoked. He could not leave Velrothi territory without royal approval. He was politely, formally trapped. Princess Mion came to him that day. Her skin was dark purple, ashamed. "I knew. I should have warned you sooner. My mother has been watching you since the first assassination attempt. She saw how you moved, how you thought. She saw that her telepaths could not read you." "What does that mean?" "It means you have what she calls soul fire, an unbreakable will. Most species we can dominate with our minds. We can read thoughts, plant suggestions, control actions. But humans resist. And you, Deho, you resist completely." She finds this fascinating. Deho felt cold. "What does she want with me?" "My mother collects rare things," Mion said softly. "Beautiful things. Dangerous things. Unique things. She has galleries full of treasures from 1,000 worlds, and she has never in her 1,000-year life released anything she truly wanted to keep. I'm not a thing to be collected. I know. But my mother does not see it that way." Mion's hands trembled. "I have been complicit. I should have refused this tour. I should have sent you away. But I was selfish. You made me feel less alone, and now you are trapped because of me." Deho stood and walked to the window. Below the city stretched out all crystal towers and flowing lights, beautiful, alien, wrong. "When do we go to the homeworld?" he asked quietly. 3 weeks. After the tour ends." Mion stood beside him. "Deho, I am so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Help me escape." She was quiet for a long time. "I cannot. My mother's watchers are everywhere. They listen through telepathy. They see through 1,000 eyes. If I help you, we both die. Then I'll figure it out myself." But even as he said it, Deho knew it was false hope. The Velrothi had been playing this game for centuries. They knew how to keep what they wanted. And Queen Soran wanted him. That night, Deho tried anyway. He slipped out of his quarters, made his way to the spaceport, bribed a cargo ship captain. He got within 50 feet of freedom before the Velrothi guards appeared, their skin flashing red with amusement. They did not hurt him. They simply escorted him back. And waiting in his quarters was a message from the queen herself. The hologram showed a Velrothi woman of stunning beauty. Her skin cycled through every color imaginable, a display of power and control. Her voice was like music and knives. "Deho, how delightful. My daughter speaks highly of you. I look forward to meeting you on Velrothi's Prime. Your quarters in the palace are being prepared as we speak. I do hope you will enjoy your new home." The message ended. Deho stood alone in the dark room, finally understanding the trap he had walked into. He was not being hired. He was being collected. And like every treasure in Queen Soran's galleries, he would never leave. Velrothi's Prime rose before the ship like a jewel in the void. The entire planet seemed to glow. massive crystal structures reaching up from the surface like frozen lightning. Cities of light and thought connected by telepathic networks that spanned continents. It was beautiful in the way a predator was beautiful, perfect and deadly. Daeho stood at the viewport, his jaw tight. Beside him, Princess Mion watched in silence. Her skin had been dark purple, the color of shame and fear for 3 days now. "It is not too late," she said quietly. "We could tell my mother you displeased me. She might let you go." "Would she?" Mion said nothing. They both knew the answer. The ship descended toward the royal palace, a structure so vast it looked like a mountain range made of crystal. Spires reached kilometers into the sky, each one glowing with different colors. Gardens floated between the towers, held aloft by technology Daeho could not begin to understand. And at the center, the Queen's Tower, black as space and twice as cold. They landed on a platform that could have held 100 ships. Daeho was escorted not to guest quarters but to the guard complex. His rooms were luxurious beyond anything he had seen. Soft lights, comfortable furniture, a view of gardens that defied gravity. It was a beautiful cage, and he was the newest bird. For 2 days he was left alone. Food appeared. His clothes were cleaned. But the door would not open. He was a prisoner in everything but name. On the 3rd day, Queen Soren summoned him. 2 guards came, their skin flashing warning red. They did not speak, simply gestured for Daeho to follow. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever, past rooms filled with impossible things. He saw weapons that hummed with power, creatures frozen in stasis from species he did not recognize, art that moved and breathed and whispered. This was her collection. And he was about to join it. The throne room was a chamber of black crystal that seemed to absorb all light. At its center, sitting on a throne that looked grown rather than built, was Queen Soren. She was terrifying. Beautiful in the way a supernova was beautiful, destructive and absolute. Her skin cycled through every color in existence, a display of complete mastery over her own body. Her eyes were black holes that seemed to see through matter itself. Power radiated from her like heat from a star. "Daeho," she said, and her voice filled the chamber, came from everywhere and nowhere. "At last we meet. My daughter has told me so much about you." Daeho stood straight, meeting her gaze. "Your Majesty," so polite, so controlled. The queen stood and walked down from her throne. She moved like water, like light, like something that had transcended physical form. "Do you know what fascinates me about your species?" "No, Your Majesty. You should be nothing. Weak bodies, short lives, no telepathy, no natural weapons, and yet you spread across the stars like fire. You fight. You survive. You refuse to break." She circled him slowly. "And you, Daeho, you are special even among your kind. 7 of my strongest telepaths have tried to read your thoughts. All failed. Your will is like a wall of iron, unbreakable. I am just a soldier, Your Majesty. You are so much more." She stopped in front of him. "I have lived for 1100 years. I have conquered 40 systems. I have collected the greatest treasures in the galaxy, and I have never met anyone like you. What do you want from me?" Queen Soren smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "I want you to serve me, to be part of my collection, to let me study you, understand you, keep you, and if I refuse, then I will adjust you. A simple telepathic procedure. It breaks the will, rewrites the mind. You would serve me anyway, but you would be empty inside. A shell. I prefer my treasures intact, but I will settle for what I can get." Daeho felt ice in his veins. "You would destroy my mind. I would make you useful. But I hope it will not come to that, because I think you are intelligent enough to see reality. You cannot escape. You cannot fight. You can only choose how you will serve. There is always a choice," the queen laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Spoken like a true human. Very well, Daeho. I will give you time to consider. Explore the complex. Meet my other treasures. Learn what awaits those who resist. Then we will speak again." She dismissed him with a wave. The guards escorted him back to his quarters. And Daeho stood at the window looking out at the impossible beauty of the palace, feeling the walls close in. That night a visitor came. Not Mion, but another human. A woman in her 30s with tired eyes and the bearing of someone who had given up fighting. "My name is Bora," she said. "I was a pilot. 8 years ago I took a contract with the Velrathi. The queen found me interesting. I never left." Daeho stared at her. 8 years? 8 years. Bora sat down heavily. "I tried to escape 4 times. The last time they caught me at the spaceport. The queen was kind. She did not adjust me. She simply made it clear that if I tried again, she would adjust everyone in my family. Parents, siblings, all of them. So I stopped trying. That's evil. That's the Velrathi. They do not think like us. To them we are curiosities, pets, things to be studied and kept. Bora looked at him with those tired eyes. I came to warn you. Do not resist openly. The queen respects strength, but she will crush rebellion. Play along, survive. Maybe someday there will be a chance. But that day is not today. After Bora left, Deho sat in the dark, processing everything. He thought of Hajin, of home, of freedom. He thought of Princess Mion, trapped by her birth into a system that valued power over everything. And he thought of the queen's words. You cannot escape. You cannot fight. But humans had escaped impossible situations before. Humans had fought unwinnable wars and sometimes won. The Velrathi thought they understood humanity, but they understood only the surface. They did not understand the depth of human stubbornness, the refusal to accept fate, the ability to hope even in darkness. On the 5th day, Princess Mion finally came to see him. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. She offered you the choice, Mion said. Serve or be adjusted. Yes, what will you do? Deho looked at her. I will survive. I will wait, and I will find a way out. There is no way out, Mion said, and her voice broke. Deho, I have lived here my whole life. I know every corridor, every guard, every system. The palace is a fortress. The planet is watched by 1,000 satellites. You cannot leave. Then I will make a way. He took her hands, those strange crystalline hands. Mion, you taught me about your empire. Let me teach you something about humans. We do not accept cages. We break them. For the first time in days, her skin flickered gold. You give me hope. Foolish hope, but hope nonetheless. Hope is never foolish. That night, Deho began to plan. He had no weapons, no allies, no way to communicate with the outside world. But he had something the Velrathi did not understand. He had the human ability to adapt, to improvise, to find weakness in systems that seemed perfect. The queen thought she had collected him like one of her treasures. She thought he would either serve or break. But she did not understand that humans were not treasures to be kept on shelves. Humans were fire, and fire, given time, could burn through anything, even crystal. 3 months passed in the palace. Deho learned its rhythms like a prisoner learns the patterns of his guards. He walked the permitted corridors. He ate the provided meals. He attended the sessions where Queen Saran would summon him to talk, to test, to try to understand what made him different. The queen was patient. She did not force adjustment. Instead, she tried persuasion, showing him the wonders of the empire. She took him to laboratories where scientists worked on technologies that could reshape planets. She showed him gardens growing plants from extinct worlds. She introduced him to scholars who had lived for centuries, their minds expanded by telepathic networks beyond anything humans could imagine. You could have this, she would say. Knowledge, power, immortality. Serve me willingly and I will give you things your species has only dreamed of. I would rather have freedom, Deho always answered. Freedom is an illusion. Even in your human territories you serve someone. Governments, corporations, laws. Here at least you serve greatness. These conversations always ended the same way. The queen would dismiss him, fascinated and frustrated in equal measure. She had ruled for centuries, bent entire species to her will, and could not understand why one human refused to see reason. Deho used his free time to explore what he could of the palace. The guard complex was vast, a city within a city. He met others like himself, beings from dozens of species, all collected by the queen for one reason or another. There was Sunho, a Velrathi military commander who had spoken out against the queen's wars. He had been given the choice of adjustment or service in her collection. He chose service, but his eyes were dead. He went through the motions of life without truly living. There was Keiko, a human scientist who had created a new form of fusion reactor. The queen had offered her resources beyond measure to continue her work. Keiko had accepted, thinking it was an opportunity. 5 years later, she realized it was a trap. Her inventions belonged to the queen now. She belonged to the queen, and there was Bora, the pilot, who had become something like a friend to Deho. She showed him the reality of life in the collection. You see the luxury, she said one day as they walked through gardens that floated in the air. The beauty, the resources. But look closer. See the guards? The surveillance? The telepaths monitoring our every thought? I see them. Then you understand. This is not a palace. It is a prison. A comfortable prison, but a prison nonetheless. Bora stopped and looked at him. Deho, I know what you are thinking. I thought it too, escape, resistance, freedom, but I have been here 8 years. I have watched others try. They all failed. Someone has to succeed eventually. Bora smiled sadly. You really believe that hope? It will get you hurt. But Deho did believe it. He studied the guards' patrol patterns. He noted which corridors had less surveillance. He befriended the other collected beings, learning their skills, their knowledge. Keiko knew the palace's power systems. Sunho knew the military protocols. Bora knew every ship in the landing bays. Slowly, carefully, he began to build something. Not a plan yet, but the foundation of one. Princess Mion visited him when she could, always in secret. She had changed since they arrived on the homeworld. The lightness he had seen during the tour was gone, replaced by a grim determination. My mother speaks of you constantly, she said one night. She calls you her most prized acquisition. She says you have taught her more about human nature than centuries of study. I have taught her nothing. You have. Your defiance, your refusal to break, it fascinates her. But Deho, it also makes you more valuable to her. She will never let you go. Never. Then I will take my freedom. Mion's skin flashed purple with fear. Do not say such things. There are telepaths everywhere. If they hear your thoughts of escape, they cannot read my thoughts. That is why your mother wants me. But they can read mine. If they know I am helping you, then do not help me. But do not try to stop me either. Mion looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached into her robes and pulled out a small crystal, no bigger than a fingernail. This is a data crystal. It contains maps of the palace, security protocols, guard rotations, information I have been gathering my entire life. I give it to you now, though it terrifies me to do so. Deho took the crystal carefully. Why are you helping me? Because you showed me what it means to be free. Even in chains, you choose your own path. I have never had that courage. Perhaps if I help you find freedom, I can find a piece of it for myself. She left quickly before the guards could notice her absence. Deho hid the crystal and spent the next week studying its contents. What he found made his blood run cold. The palace security was more extensive than he had imagined. Energy shields, telepathic sensors, automated defenses that could lock down entire sections in seconds, guard rotations that never left gaps, and beyond the palace, satellites that tracked every ship, every transmission, every attempt to leave the planet unauthorized. The Queen had built a perfect cage, but Deho had learned something important in his years as a soldier. Perfect systems had perfect flaws. They were so well designed that people stopped questioning them. They became routine, and routine created opportunity. He began to share what he learned with the others. Carefully, quietly, he spoke to Bora, to Keiko, to Sunho, to the dozens of other collected beings. He planted seeds of ideas. What if they worked together? What if they used their combined knowledge? What if they stopped accepting their fate? Most of them were too beaten down to listen. But a few, a precious few, started to hope. On the 6th month of his captivity, Queen Saran summoned him again. This time she took him to a place he had not seen before. Deep below the palace, past layers of security that made his skin crawl with unease. The garden, she called it. It was a vast chamber filled with stasis pods. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each one held a being frozen in time. Some were sleeping peacefully. Others were frozen mid-scream. These are my most precious treasures, the Queen said, walking among the pods like a gardener among flowers. Beings too valuable to risk, too dangerous to let free. So I keep them here, preserved, perfect, eternal. She stopped in front of an empty pod. I have kept this one waiting. For someone special. Someone worthy of my garden. Deho understood. You want to put me in there. I want to preserve you. Your defiance, your strength, your human fire. I want to keep it perfect, untouched by time or corruption. That is not life, it is eternal. It is safe, it is mine. The Queen turned to him. You have 6 months left, Deho. 6 months to choose. Serve me willingly and you can keep your freedom such as it is. Refuse and I will place you in the garden. Either way, you will be part of my collection forever. She left him there, surrounded by frozen dreams, to consider his fate. That night, Daiho made his decision. He would not serve. He would not sleep in a crystal coffin. He would escape or die trying, and he would not go alone. It was time to stop planning and start acting. The cage was perfect, but Daiho was human, and humans had a long history of doing the impossible. The resistance began with whispers. Daiho could not call meetings or pass notes. The telepaths would sense organized rebellion instantly. Instead, he planted ideas in casual conversations. A word here, a suggestion there. He taught the collected beings something the Velrathi had never expected them to learn. He taught them to hope again. Bora was the first real ally. She found him one morning in the training room where collected beings were allowed to exercise. The room was monitored, but the telepaths paid less attention here. Physical training was considered too primitive to matter. "I found it," Bora said, pretending to spot him as he lifted weights. "The old communication relay. It still works." Daiho kept his face neutral. "Are you sure?" "Positive. It is ancient tech, from before the Velrathi upgraded to full telepathic networks. They forgot about it. I can send messages outside the palace, maybe even off-planet. It was the first real breakthrough. With outside communication, they could coordinate. Call for help. At least let someone know what was happening to the Queen's collection." Keiko joined them next. The scientist had been working on the palace power systems for 3 years. She knew every relay, every backup, every weak point. The shield cycle, she told them during a rare moment of privacy in the gardens. For 0.3 seconds every hour they reset. It is not much, but it is a gap. 0.3 seconds is not enough time to get through, Daiho said, not for one person. But if we had a ship positioned correctly, with the right calculations maybe, just maybe, Sunho was harder to convince. The Velrathi commander had given up years ago. But Daiho worked on him slowly, carefully. He reminded Sunho of who he had been before. A warrior, a leader, someone who had stood up to the Queen herself. "You speak of rebellion," Sunho said quietly. "The Queen will crush us, she will try. But we have advantages she does not expect. We are underestimated. We are diverse, and we have nothing left to lose. She has everything to lose, power, control, her collection. She will kill us all before she lets us escape. Then we die free," Daiho said. "Is that not better than living in a cage?" Something flickered in Sunho's dead eyes. A spark, small but real. "Tell me your plan." Over 3 months, the resistance grew. 20 beings, then 30, then 50. Humans, Velrathi dissidents, aliens from species Daiho could not even name. All united by a simple desire for freedom. Princess Mion became their eyes and ears in the royal court. She attended the Queen's councils, listened to military reports, and fed information to Daiho through coded messages left in books in the palace library. She told them about the Festival of Ascension, a massive celebration held once every 5 years where the Queen's attention would be divided among thousands of guests and ceremonies. "It is the best chance," Mion said during one of her secret visits to Daiho's quarters. "Half the royal guard will be managing the festival. Security will be watching the guests, not the collection. If you are going to try, that is when." "Will you come with us?" Daiho asked. Mion's skin flashed through a dozen colors. Hope, fear, longing, despair. "I cannot. My mother's telepaths are always in my mind. If I tried to leave, she would know instantly. I can help you escape, but I cannot escape myself. Then we will come back for you. Do not make promises you cannot keep, Daiho." But he meant it. Mion had given him friendship when he had nothing. She had risked everything to help the resistance. He would not leave her behind if he could help it. The plan came together piece by piece. Bora would use the old relay to contact a human ship, one of the independent traders that sometimes did business with the Velrathi. She would arrange for a ship to be in position just outside the planetary shields, ready to jump to faster-than-light speed the moment they broke through. Keiko would sabotage the power systems during the shield cycle, extending that 0.3-second gap to maybe 5 full seconds, enough time for a fast ship to slip through. Sunho would lead a distraction team, drawing the guards away from the landing bays during the festival chaos, and Daiho would lead the escape itself, getting as many collected beings to the stolen ships as possible. It was a plan with 1,000 ways to fail, but it was better than staying in the cage. The Festival of Ascension began with a ceremony that lit up the sky. The entire planet seemed to glow as millions of Velrathi minds joined in telepathic celebration. The palace filled with dignitaries from across the empire. Music that existed only in thought filled the air. It was beautiful and terrible and the perfect distraction. Deho stood in his quarters watching the celebration through his window. This was it. Tonight they would be free or they would be dead. There was no middle ground. Bora appeared at his door, her face tight with tension. The ship is in position. Human trader called the Wandering Star. Captain owes me a favor from the old days. She will wait for exactly 30 minutes. If we are not through the shields by then, she jumps away. 30 minutes is not much time. It is what we have. Keiko came next, carrying a small device. The power override. I will activate it from the main junction. The shields will drop for 5 seconds. Maybe 6 if we are lucky. But Deho, the moment I activate this, alarms will sound everywhere. The Queen will know something is wrong. Then we run fast. Sunho arrived with 12 Velrothi dissidents, former soldiers who had been collected for various crimes against the Empire. They looked ready for war. We will hold the guards at checkpoint 7. It will give you time to reach the bays. This is going to cost you, Deho said. I know, but I am tired of dying slowly. I would rather die fighting. Sunho gripped Deho's shoulder in the Velrothi way, skin flashing warrior red. It has been an honor, human. Princess Mion came last. She wore formal robes for the festival, but her skin was dark purple with fear. My mother suspects something. I do not know what, but she keeps looking at me strangely. Deho, if this goes wrong, it will not. But if it does, know that you gave me something I never had. You showed me that cages can be broken. Whatever happens tonight, thank you for that. She left before he could respond. The plan was in motion. There was no stopping it now. At midnight, when the festival reached its peak, Bora sent the signal. Across the palace, collected beings began moving toward designated rally points. They moved carefully, casually, trying not to trigger suspicion. Deho led his group through the gardens toward Landing Bay 12. Behind him came 30 beings, all looking to him for leadership. The weight of their hope was crushing. They were halfway to the bay when the alarm started screaming. Keiko had activated the power override. Somewhere in the palace, shields were dropping, and somewhere else, Queen Soren was realizing her collection was escaping. Run, Deho shouted. The collected beings ran. Behind them, the palace erupted into chaos. Guards poured into corridors. Telepaths screamed warnings through mental networks. And in the throne room, the Queen's rage shook the very foundations of the Crystal Palace. They reached the landing bay to find Sunho's team already engaged with the Royal Guard. Energy blasts carved through the air. Velrothi warriors fell. The dissidents fought with desperate fury. Go! Sunho roared, his skin blazing red. We will hold them. Deho got his people into the stolen ship, a small transport that Bora had prepared. But as he turned to help Sunho, he saw the commander go down under a blast of purple energy. There was no time to help. No time to mourn. Deho ran for the ship and then he saw her, Princess Mion, running through the bay, guards chasing her. Deho, wait, but the ship was lifting off. Bora was at the controls following the plan. 30 seconds until the shields closed again. They had to go now. Deho made the human choice. He jumped from the rising ship. He landed hard, rolled, came up running. He grabbed Mion's hand and pulled her toward the ship. Behind them, the guards raised their weapons. Bora brought the ship back down just long enough. Deho threw Mion aboard and dove after her. The ship rocketed upward. Through the viewport, Deho saw Sunho's final stand, saw the commander fall, saw other collected beings fighting, dying, winning their freedom with blood. Then they were through the atmosphere, through the gap in the shields, and the Wandering Star was grabbing them with tractor beams. They had escaped. But as Deho looked at Princess Mion, trembling in the corner of the ship, he realized the cost. They had left people behind. Sunho was dead. Others had been captured, and worst of all, Queen Soren would never stop hunting them. Not now, not ever. The Wandering Star jumped to faster than light speed, just as Velrothi pursuit ships cleared the planet's outer defenses. In the cargo hold, 32 freed beings sat in stunned silence, processing what they had done. They had escaped the perfect cage. They had defied Queen Soren herself, but the celebration was muted. Too many had been left behind. Deho sat with his back against the cold metal wall, exhaustion finally hitting him. Bora was at the ship's controls, coordinating with the Wandering Star's captain. Keiko tended to the wounded, using medical supplies from the ship's emergency stores, and Princess Mion sat alone in the corner, her skin cycling through colors so fast it looked like static. The ship's captain, a grizzled human woman named Hana, came down to the cargo hold. She looked at the group of refugees with a mixture of pity and calculation. "We have a problem," she said bluntly. "Every Velrothi ship in this sector is hunting for you. They are offering a reward so large I could retire on it. And that princess you brought? She is worth even more." Deho stood slowly. "You agreed to help us." "I agreed to pick up Bora and maybe a few others. Not the queen's own daughter. Do you have any idea what you have done? The Velrothi will burn this whole sector looking for her. Then drop us at the nearest human colony and go. We will not put you at more risk." Hana studied him for a long moment. Then she spat on the floor. "Hell with it. I have been running from one authority or another my whole life. What is one more? We will get you to human space. But after that you are on your own." She left. Deho sat back down, rubbing his face. They had won the battle, but the war was just beginning. Princess Mion approached him cautiously. Her skin had settled on a pale blue, the color of sorrow. "I should not have run. I should have let you go. I could not leave you." "Why? You owed me nothing. You could have escaped clean, but you came back for me and now you are all in more danger because of it." Deho looked at her. "Because you are my friend. And humans do not abandon their friends. Not ever." Mion's skin flickered gold, the color of something breaking and healing at the same time. "Your species is foolish. Yeah, we get that a lot." 3 days later, they reached human space. But safety was an illusion. Word of the escape had spread fast. The Velrothi Empire was demanding the return of their princess. Human authorities were caught in the middle, not wanting to start a war but also not eager to hand over refugees. Deho and the others were placed in a processing center while diplomats argued over their fate. It was not quite a prison, but it was close. And every day the Velrothi pressure increased. On the 5th day, Hajin came. Deho's old friend looked older, more worn, but his eyes were the same. "You crazy bastard," Hajin said, embracing Deho. "You actually escaped. When I heard the news, I thought it was a joke. Nobody escapes the Velrothi." "We did." "Yeah, and now what?" "The Velrothi want you back. All of you. Especially the princess. They are threatening trade embargoes, military action, all kinds of hell. Let them threaten." Hajin pulled out a datapad. I have been doing research. The Velrothi collection. There are records of 73 humans taken over the last 2 centuries. None ever came back. Until now. You have exposed something the Empire kept hidden. You are heroes to a lot of people, but you are also political nightmares. Over the next week, the pressure mounted. Human politicians made speeches. The Velrothi sent diplomats and then warships. The refugees became pawns in a game much bigger than themselves. Princess Mion was kept separate from the others, in what was officially protective custody but looked a lot like detention. Deho tried to visit her but was denied access. She was too valuable, too dangerous, too important to the balance of power. Then the message came. It was broadcast on every channel, transmitted across space on frequencies that guaranteed everyone would see it. Queen Soren herself addressing the galaxy. "I offer this once. Return my daughter unharmed and I will forgive this transgression. Return all my collected treasures and there will be no war. You have 7 days to comply. After that I will come for what is mine, and I will not be gentle." The human authorities panicked. Suddenly the refugees were not heroes but liabilities. Politicians began suggesting that maybe for the greater good they should be returned. Maybe war with the Velrothi was not worth protecting a few dozen beings who had stolen themselves away. Deho felt the walls closing in again. They had escaped one cage only to find themselves in another. On the 6th day, Princess Mion managed to send him a message through Hajin. It was a simple text, but it hit Deho like a physical blow. "I am going back. It is the only way to save you all. Thank you for showing me freedom, even briefly. I will never forget." Deho read it 3 times, then stood up. "No, absolutely not." Bora looked up from her bunk. "What is wrong?" "Mion is going to turn herself in. To save us, then she is smarter than we are. Deho, if she goes back, the crisis ends. The Velrothi leave. We stay free. It is the logical choice. It is not right. Since when is any of this right?" Bora stood and faced him. "We escaped, Deho. 32 of us made it out. That is a miracle. Do not throw that away for one person. She is not just one person. She is the reason any of us got out, and I will not let her go back to that prison." Keiko joined them. "What are you planning?" "I am going to break her out of protective custody and get her somewhere safe." Somewhere the Velrathi cannot reach. That is insane, Bora said. Where could she possibly hide? The Velrathi Empire spans half the galaxy. Deho smiled grimly. The places they do not control. Frontier worlds. Independent systems. Human territory is vast, and not all of it answers to politicians. We will find somewhere. And you will do this how? She is guarded by human security. If you break her out, you will be criminals, fugitives. We are already fugitives. At least this way we choose it. That night, Deho and Keiko broke into the detention wing where Mion was held. It was easier than it should have been. The guards were ready for Velrathi assault, not a simple human infiltration. They found Mion in a sparse room, staring out a window at the stars. Deho? She turned, her skin flashing through surprised colors. How did you— We are leaving. Now, come on. I cannot. I am going back to my mother. It is decided. Nothing is decided. You are not going back to that cage. I did not risk everything to free you just to watch you walk back into slavery. It is not slavery. It is duty. It is who I am. Deho walked to her and took her hands. It is who they made you. But you can choose to be something else. That is what freedom means. The choice to be who you want, not who others demand. Mion looked at him with those endless black eyes. Slowly her skin shifted to gold. You humans and your impossible hope? Is that a yes? It is a maybe. Where would we even go? Does it matter? As long as we go together? Before Mion could answer, alarms began blaring. They had been discovered. Deho grabbed her hand and ran. Behind them, security forces scrambled. Ahead, Keiko had a transport waiting. They almost made it. They were at the transport when the Velrathi arrived. Not guards. Not soldiers. The Queen's Royal Void Guard. The elite hunters who tracked escaped treasures across the galaxy. 6 of them materialized from nowhere in flashes of dark light. Deho put himself between them and Mion. Stay back. The lead hunter spoke in a voice like breaking ice. The princess returns with us. The Queen commands it. The princess makes her own choices. She is Velrathi royalty. She has no choices, only duty. Deho drew a weapon he had stolen from the security office. It was a small thing, useless against the Void Guard's shields, but he held it steady anyway. The hunter almost seemed amused. You would die for her? If I have to. How very human. The hunter raised his hand, energy crackling around his fingers, and Princess Mion stepped forward, placing herself between Deho and the hunter. No, she said, her voice clear and strong. I am tired of others fighting my battles. I am tired of duty without choice. I am tired of being a treasure in someone's collection. Her skin blazed gold, brighter than Deho had ever seen it. Tell my mother I am not coming back. Tell her I choose freedom. The hunter stared at her. The Queen will not accept this. Then the Queen will have to learn what her daughter learned from a human. That some things are worth more than power, worth more than empires, worth more than eternity in a crystal cage. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the hunter lowered his hand. This is not over. I know, the Void Guard vanished as quickly as they came. And Princess Mion stood there trembling but free, having chosen her own path for the first time in her life. But Deho knew the hunter was right. This was not over. It was just beginning. The war did not come all at once. It crept in slowly, like ice spreading across glass. The Velrathi closed their borders to human ships. Trade stopped. Diplomatic channels went silent. And along the frontier, Velrathi warships began appearing, watching, waiting. Deho and Princess Mion became the most wanted beings in known space. Not because they were criminals, but because they represented something dangerous. They represented choice. The idea that even those born into cages could choose freedom. For 6 months they ran. Hajin helped them move from world to world, always one step ahead of the Void Guard. Bora and Keiko and the other freed beings scattered across human space, trying to rebuild lives that had been stolen from them. But none of them were truly safe. Not while Queen Soren wanted them back. The summons came on a Tuesday. Deho was on a frontier station called Hope's End, when every screen suddenly displayed the same message. Queen Soren's face, beautiful and terrible, filled every display in the station. Deho, the Queen said, and her voice reached across light years with perfect clarity. I have been patient. I have given you time. Time to run, time to hide, time to realize that freedom is an illusion, but my patience has limits. The message continued. The Queen made an offer. She would end all hostilities with human space. She would release every being in her collection, even those in the garden. She would grant them all true freedom, documented and witnessed by neutral parties. In exchange for one thing: Daiho, permanently, willingly, as her personal champion. "Come to me," the Queen said. "Serve me for your natural lifetime. No adjustment. No telepathic control. You will keep your mind, your will, your precious human soul. You need only give me your service. Accept and everyone goes free. Refuse and I will tear human space apart until I find you both." The message ended. The station erupted into chaos. Everyone knew who Daiho was now. Everyone knew what he represented. And everyone knew the price the Queen was demanding. Princess Mion found him an hour later, her skin dark purple with anguish. "You cannot do this. It is a good deal. It is a trap. My mother does not release her treasures. She will find a way to keep you forever, to break you to... Maybe, but maybe not. She wants to understand humans. She has been trying for centuries. This is her chance. She gets me. Everyone else goes free. What about us?" Mion's voice cracked. "What about your freedom? You fought so hard for it. I fought so others could have it. That was always the point." Daiho took her hands gently. "Mion, your mother will never stop hunting us. She will start a war. Millions could die. I cannot live with that. So you will sacrifice yourself. It is what humans do. We choose the needs of others over our own survival. Your mother does not understand that, but maybe she will learn." The next day, Daiho sent his answer to the Velrathi Empire. He would accept the Queen's terms, alone. Princess Mion would remain free, untouched, living her own life. The other collected beings would be released immediately, and he would serve as the Queen's champion for the rest of his natural life. The galaxy held its breath. The exchange was set for neutral ground, a diplomatic station in unclaimed space. Daiho arrived with Hajin, who insisted on coming despite Daiho's protests. "Someone needs to witness this," Hajin said. "Someone needs to make sure the Queen keeps her word." They waited in a stark white room. Then she appeared. Queen Soren looked exactly as Daiho remembered. Beautiful and deadly, her skin cycling through colors that spoke of power beyond measure. But something was different. She studied him with an expression he could not quite read. "You came," she said. "I gave my word. A concept my people struggle with, keeping one's word when it costs everything." The Queen walked around him slowly. "Tell me, Daiho, why did you accept, truly?" "Because it was the right thing to do. Even though you will never be free again, I will be as free as I choose to be. You cannot take that from me." The Queen stopped in front of him. "I have lived for 1100 years. I have conquered worlds. I have collected the greatest treasures in the galaxy. And I have never met anyone like you, a being who chooses captivity to save others. Then you have not been paying attention. Humans do this all the time. Parents sacrifice for children, soldiers for their comrades, people for strangers they will never meet. It is who we are." "It is who you are," the Queen corrected. "But I begin to think I have been collecting the wrong things all these centuries." She turned to Hajin. "The collected beings are being released as we speak. Every one of them, including those in the garden. They will be returned to their homes with resources to rebuild their lives. This I swear." Hajin nodded stiffly. "And Daiho? Daiho becomes mine, but on his terms, no adjustment. No telepathic control. He serves as my champion, my advisor, my window into human nature, for his natural lifetime. And when that lifetime ends," Queen Soren smiled, "then we shall see if I have learned anything." The formal ceremony was brief. Daiho swore an oath of service. The Queen accepted it. Witnessed by neutral observers from a dozen species, the contract was sealed. Princess Mion appeared just before the end. She had insisted on being there despite the danger. Her skin blazed every color at once as she approached Daiho. "This is wrong," she said. "This is necessary. I will not forget what you taught me. I will not waste the freedom you bought with your own." "Good. Make something beautiful with it. Make something that proves this was worth it." Mion embraced him. The first time a Velrathi princess had ever embraced a human. Then she left, her head high, choosing to walk away rather than watch him be led into captivity. As Daiho followed the Queen toward the Velrathi ship, Hajin called out, "Day, we will not forget you. Humans do not forget their heroes." Daiho smiled back. "Then tell them I chose this. Tell them I walked into the cage willingly. Maybe that matters. The journey to Velrothis Prime took 3 days. The Queen did not speak to him during the trip. She simply watched, studying him like a puzzle she was determined to solve. When they arrived at the palace, Daiho was not taken to the guard complex or to the garden. Instead, he was brought to chambers in the Queen's own tower, rooms that were luxurious but not prison cells. He could come and go within the palace grounds. He had access to libraries, training facilities, even the ability to communicate with the outside world. It was still a cage, but a much larger one than before. 5 years passed. Daiho served as the Queen's champion, but not in the way anyone expected. He did not fight her battles or enforce her will. Instead, he advised her, challenged her, questioned her decisions in ways no Velrothi would dare, and slowly, impossibly, things began to change. Princess Mion rose to power in the royal court, using Daiho's example to push for reforms. The empire began treating other species with more respect. The collection was disbanded entirely. The treasures returned or given true freedom to stay. The Queen admitted in private that she had learned something from her champion, that power without compassion was hollow, that collecting treasures was not the same as understanding them, that keeping things in cages, even beautiful cages, destroyed what made them valuable. On the 5th anniversary of his service, the Queen summoned Daiho to her throne room. She looked different somehow, less certain, more thoughtful. "I have a confession," she said. "I never intended to keep you forever." Daiho raised an eyebrow. "No? I wanted to see if a human would sacrifice himself willingly. If your species was truly as selfless as my daughter claimed, I needed to know if it was real or performance." She stood from her throne. "You proved it was real. Every day for 5 years you have chosen to stay to serve to help me become something better than I was. You could have been miserable, resentful, broken, but instead you chose to make this cage into something meaningful." "What are you saying?" "I am saying you are free, Daiho. Your service is complete. You may go wherever you wish." For a long moment, Daiho just stared at her. Then he laughed, surprised by his own reaction. "And if I choose to stay?" The Queen's skin flashed gold, the first time he had ever seen that color on her. Surprise. "Why would you?" "Because Mion is here, trying to change the empire from within. Because there is still work to do. Because freedom is not about where you are, but about making the choice yourself." He met the Queen's eyes. "I will stay. Not as your champion. Not as your collected treasure. But as an advisor who can leave whenever he wants. Does that work for you?" The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "It works. The story could have ended there. A human choosing to remain in service, not because he had to, but because he chose to. But there was one more thing to tell. 10 years after Daiho first accepted the Queen's offer, Princess Mion became Empress. Her mother stepped down peacefully, the first Velrothi ruler in history to abdicate by choice. And Mion's first act as Empress was to invite Daiho to her coronation not as a servant, but as an honored guest. They stood together on a balcony overlooking the crystal spires of Velrothis Prime. The planet glowed in the evening light, beautiful in ways that no longer felt threatening. "You could go home now," Mion said. "You have served long enough." "More than enough?" "I could," Daiho agreed. "But this is home now too. Besides, someone needs to make sure you do not turn into your mother." Mion laughed, her skin shimmering gold with joy. "You taught me well. I will never forget what you showed me."